Broadcasting live from somewhere in the Shadow Realm, this is YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Here's your host, Doug Dimmaduel.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Today, we're going to take a look at a deck that I'm starting to build within Duel Links that I'm just kind of playing around with. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's a Gemini-based deck. Now, if you're not aware of what Gemini cards are, they all have a similar effect built in with them, in the sense that they'll start out as a normal monster on the field or in the graveyard, but you have to basically normal summon it one more time in order to gain its secondary effect. So, for example, I know one example that I have that I'm running a lot of in my Gemini deck here is the Scalosaurus, level 4, attack 1700, 1400 defense. This card is treated as a normal monster while face up on the field or in the graveyard. While this card is a normal monster on the field, you can normal summon it to have it become an effect monster with these effects. So, then it's followed by its effect. This card becomes Earth Dinosaur type. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon that monster to your field in defense position, and if you do, it becomes Zombie type. So, that's just one of the examples of one of the Gemini cards that's a part of this deck that I'm putting together. I want to run 3 of these Scalosaurus cards as well, and I know what you're thinking, hey, this could be a little tedious to actually first summon this monster onto the field and then have to summon it a second time to gain its effect. Well, we have a few workarounds that I'm including in this deck to hopefully get your effects moving within the same turn. The first spell card that I run, and I know this is a super rare and it's part of the Chaotic Compliance booster box set, but the card that I've actually been able to pull 2 of is the double summon spell card, and you can conduct 2 normal summons or sets this turn and not just 1. So that's the card. That's one of the cards that I like to use to try and get those effects as quickly as possible. Now, in my deck, I'm actually running 3 polymerization cards, which allows you to fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. Now, the reason being is because in my extra deck, I've added 2 copies of Super Alloy Beast Raptinus. Boy, that is just a great one to pronounce. It's a fusion dragon. It's It's a level 8 monster with an attack of 2200 and a defense of 2200. Its fusion material requirements are just 2 Gemini monsters. They could be any Gemini monsters that you have. So it could be one of your weaker ones. It could even be one of your higher level Gemini monsters. But all it requires is 2. The effect that comes with this fusion monster is all Gemini monsters on the field are treated as effect monsters and gain their effects. So what Super Alloy does is really you get to bypass that second normal summon that would allow you to get all those effects out for your Gemini type monsters. So that's why I like to see polymerization in my hand as quickly as possible. And with that, I'm able to really get a lot of my moves going. So what else I actually like to use is, let's see here, I have Phoenix Gearfried. It's a warrior Gemini, and its Gemini effect is if your opponent activates a spell card, you can target 1 Gemini monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target. During either player's turn, when a spell or trap card is activated that targets a monster on the field, you can send 1 face-up equip card you control to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So it's a really powerful one. It's got an attack of 2800, a defense of 2200. It's a level 8. So really, really good one to have as well. It's that one's an ultra rare. There's also a super rare that I have included in this deck as well. Darkstorm Dragon. It is also a level 8. It's another Dragon Gemini. Its effect is this card is... Oh, hang on. Let me get to the actual Gemini effect here. Once per turn, you can send 1 face-up spell or trap card you control to the graveyard and destroy all spell and trap cards on the field. So this is a really good way to clean house if you're going up against an opponent that has a bunch of trap cards or a bunch of magic cards in that back row there. You're able to really take them out in one fell swoop if you have this effect activated. Another good support card to have with the Gemini deck as well. It's not necessarily a Gemini card itself, but it is Gemini Scorpion. Level 4, 1600 attack, 400 defense. It's a warrior, not a Gemini, but just a warrior, and its effect is when this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon one level 4 or lower Gemini monster from your hand. So it's a good way to help load the field, possibly get things set up for you to do a tribute summon or whatnot in your next turn. So again, there's still a few other Gemini monsters I want to talk about. We have Infinity Dark, level 4, attack 1500, defense 1200. Its a Gemini effect is when this card declares an attack, you can change the battle position of one face-up monster your opponent controls. So if you're going against a monster with a high attack power but not a high defense, I guess one example would be Luster Dragon number 2. I believe it was the one that has 2400 attack. I think it only has 1400 defense. I may be wrong on this. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head, but at least if you have Infinity Dark, it would be able to run over that Luster Dragon if it was switched into defense position. So this is a pretty sneaky, effective monster to have in a Gemini deck. I like it a lot. You could get that one at the card trader. It's available. It's just a rare, so it doesn't necessarily require a whole lot of assets for you to acquire it. Just keep an eye out for the card trader. Sometimes it'll show up there. Another one you can get from the card trader that's also a Gemini monster is Lucky Pied Piper. It's a level 4 fairy Gemini, 1500 attack, 500 defense, and its Gemini effect is when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, draw one card. So if you're able to use this card and successfully destroy an opponent's monster in battle, this is a good way to kind of keep your deck moving. You'll be able to draw another card. It's kind of got a built-in Jar of Greed type of feel to it. So anyway, getting back to the fusion monster, the Super Alloy Beast Raptinus. As I was mentioning earlier, I want to run multiple polymerizations. I really want to see a polymerization in my first hand, if possible. So what I also run is this ultra rare spell card that I've managed to acquire as well, Fusion Sage. And what it does is add one polymerization card from your deck to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So again, it's just to me it kind of reminds me of a terraforming, where you're just able to search out the card that you need and go on with your combo. So I don't know, it's just a good card to have. You don't necessarily need it, and it'll work out well given the structure of a Gemini type deck. So another card that I would actually recommend, especially when we're dealing with polymerization and we're dealing with just a general fusion between two Gemini monsters, sometimes, depending on my hand, I would actually want to, for fusion material, use one of my higher level Gemini monsters. The ones that have the 2800 attack, or some of those higher ones, because I would also like to run a copy of Branch, which is a spell card, continuous spell card, and its effect is when a fusion monster on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target one of the fusion materials in your graveyard that was used for its fusion summon and special summon it. So, I don't know, it's kind of a good payoff if you end up using one of your higher level Gemini monsters as fusion material and have it sitting in the graveyard knowing that you have Branch up your sleeve. So I don't know. It's just another potential way that you could keep your field loaded with stronger monsters as well. So again, this one's a bit of a work in progress. I know there's still a few other monsters as well that would be good additions to the deck. Another one, which I believe you get at the card trader, and I haven't seen it in a little while, but it's Blazewing Butterfly, a level 4. Insect Gemini monster, attack of 1500, defense of 1500. Its Gemini effect is you contribute this card, then target one Gemini monster in your graveyard except Blazewing Butterfly, and special summon that target. And if you do, it becomes an effect monster and gains its effect. That's fantastic. if you're able to get this one going, and say if you already used some of your higher level monsters that are Geminis as fusion material, as I said in the combo earlier, if you're able to get Blazewing out there, use its effect, boom, you'll be able to pull one of your stronger Geminis out of your graveyard and just really stack the field. So there's a lot of potential with a Gemini deck. It's just a matter of having all the right pieces, and if you're able to put something great together, I'd love to see what your recommendations are as well. If anybody listening has a Gemini deck that they're working on or anything similar, just give me a shout on Twitter at YuGiOh Deck Talk. It's all one word, at YuGiOh Deck Talk. So with that, I'll leave this episode at that, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Join us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/YuGiOh Deck Talk. Tell us about the decks you want to see broken down and analyzed. Discuss strategy and new cards. Meet other duelists. It's all on the YuGiOh Deck Talk Facebook page. Like it today.